welcome to my channel. In this lesson we're going to talk about IELTS Writing Task 1, Describing a Map. We will cover this different kinds of map question. We will also talk about the structure, and I'll also give you how to describe specific changes and describing general changes, describing location, and I'll also give you a sample answer. Let's get started. At first, we're going to talk about different kinds of map. In IELTS Task 1, you may be asked to describe one map in the present day or describe two maps, one in the present and one in the future, or describe two maps, one in the past and one in the present. I'll give you an example of a map question. As you can see here, we have two maps, one in the past in 1995 and one in the present. So you have to do what? You have to describe the changes, okay? Oh, the differences between, okay, the map in 1995 and the map in the present. Let's talk about the structure of your essay. So the structure of your essay, I'll advise my students to follow a 4-paragraph structure. In the first paragraph, you have to paraphrase the question using synonyms or maybe using the similar words. Don't copy the words, just paraphrase it, change them. Let's suppose the word and vocabulary, grammatical structure. In paragraph number 2, which is overview paragraph, make 2 general statements about the map. You should describe the maps generally and write about the most noticeable differences between the 2 maps. Noticeable means remarkable or important differences. You could also ask yourself the following questions to identify general changes. For example, is the map more or less residential? Is there more or less countryside? Are there more or less trees? Were the changes dramatic or negligible? Were there any major improvements in infrastructure? How have the buildings and leisure facilities changed? Now, how to do these things, how to talk about it and vocabularies, grammar and so on, I'm going to tell you in the further slides, okay? Paragraph 3 is main body 1. In this paragraph, you'll have to describe 3 to 4 sentences about the changes, okay? Specific changes that have occurred. In paragraph number 4, which is main body 2, you have to talk about further 3 to 4 sentences, let's say, right? Further 3 to 4 sentences about specific changes that have occurred. How to talk about the changes? We're gonna discuss it now. Okay, now how would you describe specific changes? Let's talk about some vocabularies like buildings, demolished, knocked down, flattened, replaced, renovated, built, constructed, reconstructed, developed, extended, expanded, relocated, converted, and modernized. Here are some examples. The government demolished the industrial estate and developed a sports ground. They removed the shops and replaced it with a skyscraper. A port was constructed at the edge of the river. The factory in the city center was demolished and relocated to the north of the city. The old warehouses were replaced with new hotels. The factory was converted into apartments. So you can do what? You can talk about the changes using these vocabularies and kind of grammatical structure. Okay, more sentences and more vocabularies. Okay, for example, trees and forests, cleared, cut down, chopped down, removed, planted. Examples, the forest was cut down and replaced with a shopping center. The trees were cleared to make way for houses. Or, let's say, vocabularies related to road, bridges and railway lines. Constructed, built, extended, expanded and removed. The main road was extended. A new bridge built over the river. Okay. Or about leisure facilities, for example, gym or maybe clubs or so on. So open, set up, developed. A skate park was set up next to the swimming pool. A park was developed beside the forest. Now let's talk about the describing general changes. So in order to talk about general changes, you will have to follow the following structure. For example, over the period, the area witnessed dramatic changes. From 1995 to 2005, the city center saw spectacular developments. The village changed considerably over the time period. During the 10-year period, the industrial area was totally transformed. Over the past 20 years, the residential area was totally reconstructed. Over the time period, the old docks were totally redeveloped. Between 1995 and 2005, the old houses were rebuilt. The central business district was completely modernized during the time period. So you can use these type of general changes, okay, in your overview paragraph, which is the second paragraph of your essay. How to describe locations? You can use to the left, to the right, but a better way to use is north, south, east, and west. I normally advise my students to draw the symbols on the question paper if they are not already there. For example, you can say symbols of north, let's say east, west, south, and so on. Okay, for example, they say the forest to the south of the river was cut down. A golf course was constructed to the north of the airport. The houses in the southwest of the town were demolished. The green fields to the northwest of the city were redeveloped as a park. The airport in the center of the city was relocated to the northeast of the river. The school to the southeast was knocked down and a new one built to the east of the forest. So here you can talk about the locations which will make you get a very good band. Okay, now let's talk about other ways to talk about locations. Finally, you'll also be expected to use prepositions of place: at, in, on, by, beside, to, of, from, to describe where the things are. For example, dramatic changes took place in the city center. To the south of the town, there's a golf course surrounded by trees. A new school was built next to the swimming pool. The old road running from north to south was replaced by a new motorway. A marina was built on the banks of the river. Okay, now the last section of our lesson is a sample answer. As you can see here, we have two maps. The two maps there, that's the question. Okay, the two maps below show an island before and after constructions of some tourist facilities. Summarize information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So as I said before, first you have to write what do you say to that? Let's say an introduction paragraph. Okay, by paraphrasing this statement, the two maps below show that is the statement. You just paraphrase that and write it here. For example, both maps display an island before and after it was developed for tourism. Then you write the first paragraph, okay, main body, so let's say overview paragraph. Here you'll have to write two overview sentences or maybe general changes. Okay, so the island is approximately 250 meters long, has palm trees dotted around it, is surrounded by ocean, and has a beach to the west. Over the period, the island was completely transformed with the addition of a hotel and a pier. However, the eastern part of the island appears to have been left undeveloped. So that is what our overview paragraph, and the rest is, let's say, body paragraph 1 and body paragraph 2. And remember that you don't have any conclusion paragraph in IELTS Writing Task 1. So body paragraph number 1, you talk about, let's suppose, 3 differences, okay, and then in body paragraph number 2, which is, for example, this one, okay, you talk about 3 more differences. Okay, so here you have 160 words completed, And that's all. Thank you very much for watching my video. Enjoy your time.